The topic today is React SEO best practices. Since this is a rather short video about React SEO specifically, I'm not going to talk about the zillion issues you can look into. I'm going to point out the most common problems I see whenever I audit this type of website. I've worked on more JavaScript websites than I care to count, specifically React. So let's get started. The first one is more of a mindset thing. You need to at least match your competitors, but ideally beat them. SEO is kind of a battleground. Let's say 5 of your competitors are making it super easy for Google to crawl their site, and you're not. You're using a lot of fancy JavaScript stuff, and they're making it a seamless interaction. Well, guess who's going to win? The 5 competitors that are making it pretty easy for search engines. This is a super important concept in any type of SEO. If Google has to use a lot more resources to crawl your website compared to your competitors, chances are your competitors are going to win. Before I forget, if you need more help with stuff like this, go to Oh My Crawl, and if you like this kind of information, hop on the newsletter. My next big tip is to leverage server-side rendering. Virtually every single website I've worked on that's moved from server-side to client-side rendering saw a drop in rankings. Most SEOs have done this for a while, especially if you deal with technical SEO. But Google has finally come out and said, like, hey guys, avoid this dynamic rendering stuff, like rendering in the DOM or whatever. Use server-side rendering, static-side rendering, or hydration as a solution. This is directly from the Google documentation. Despite Google publicly stating this on their documentation, a lot of developers simply are not aware of this. I'll leave that document in the show notes below, so if you had to show it to your developer, you got some ammunition. If you don't know how to check server-side rendering, I have an entire video, which I'll also include below, but I'll briefly show you here. Okay, so let's use the React website to check if they're using server-side rendering. A really easy way is to simply right-click and search for some elements that we want search engines and people to find. For example, we probably want search engines to find anything that's written here, right? This is likely something we want to be indexed. It's within the content of the document. So let's just highlight a small part, give it a look-see. And let's see, it's written in this H2 here. So this will qualify as server-side rendering. My next big tip is to manage your resources properly. And what I mean by that is you want to make it very easy for search engines to crawl and render your content. I've worked with a lot of different JavaScript websites that use frameworks like React, and quite often these websites are beat out by open source platforms such as WordPress. And the main reason for that is because these JavaScript websites, they're loading a million different scripts at once. They're just making it very difficult for search engines to basically understand what their website is about. There's a lot of different ways to check this, but really briefly, I'll show you an easy way in Search Console. Okay, I'm going to use my site as an example. This is a pretty easy window to go to. You just go to Settings, then Crawl Stats, and it gives you a whole bunch of really good information. I'm talking about this over here where it says by Googlebot type. So let's see if I can zoom in. So what we're seeing here is pretty common for a WordPress website that's sort of decently optimized. And what I like is everything's broken down by percentages. And we can see smartphone has no problem crawling my site, desktop, etc., etc. And this is the one here I'm mostly referring to, the page resource load. It's quite low compared to the overall percentage compared to all the others. So this is what a well-maintained website looks like. It's pretty general, easy for search bots to load up. Now let me show you a different example. All right, so I just kind of made this up as a hypothetical example, but regardless, I see this all the time with React websites. So as we can see here, the majority of Googlebot resources goes towards page resource load. As you can imagine, this is not ideal. So look at it this way. Which website is Google going to value more? The one that kind of wastes a lot of resources, or the website where everything is kind of dialed in, where they make it very easy for search engines to crawl? My next recommendation, it's really 2 different tips, but I'm going to combine them anyway, is to have unique URLs and unique metadata for every single page. This is shockingly common. Again, our goal is to make it easy for search engines to understand what our website is about. The person that makes this the most easy is going to win in our hypothetical SEO battle. So to give you a quick example, I'm just going to use Vercel's website as kind of a random example. Every single one of their URLs is unique for starters. Let's see, they have a unique URL, fantastic. This makes it much more clear for search engines.
And if we dig into the page code, I'm going to use, if you look at the title tag, basically every single page has their own unique title tag. This is painfully common in single page applications that their metadata is identical on every single page. But as you can see here, they're doing it right. The next thing I want to cover is internal linking. No fancy stuff. Please, just keep it basic. Again, this is one of the things I find painfully common with React websites. I'm going to do another screen share here. Basically, just do whatever this document says. Don't do anything fancy. Just normal href equals whatever target. Stuff like this, especially kind of like these top two. I would peruse this document, and when you inspect the elements of all your links, just make sure they match whatever is here. The next topic I want to cover is your internal linking structure, your website hierarchy. This is really more of a general SEO tip that I see kind of everywhere, but it's doubly true with React websites for some reason. Long story short, make sure your website has some kind of hierarchy where you're prioritizing your most valuable pages. Okay, I need a chart to explain this. If you want, you can look at this yourself. I'll share this in the link below. It's a case study for one of the sites we worked on, but basically this is kind of the general hierarchy that I usually see. There is no hierarchy. All the pages are just kind of floating in the middle of nowhere. What you want is ideally something like this, where all the pages are interlinked together and there's a clear prioritization. These are our most valuable pages. Please crawl them the most. Even better, if you have articles or supporting pages linking to your most important pages. That's not really the purpose of this video. You can read this yourself if you'd like, but that's kind of a quick overview here. My final recommendation, for the sake of keeping this video simple, make it easy for search engines. This is the golden rule. All your content, all your links, everything needs to be easy to crawl. Remember, SEO is kind of like a battle. At a minimum, you want to be matching what your competitors are doing, but ideally beating them in these different kind of avenues. Think of it this way. If 5 of your competitors make it very easy for search engines to crawl and you don't, they're probably going to win. All right, I hope you found this useful. That's React SEO best practices, or at least the most common problems I generally find when I do audits on these types of websites. Or if you want more information like this, hop over to our website and get it in our newsletter. Ta-ta for now.